Peace and light and love, everybody. Thank you for joining the Pretty Priestess here. All about beauty, life, and magic. Let me hit that singing ball. Peace and love. Something about the sound of this ball, it does something special to me in a special way, and I absolutely love it. So I'm so grateful and thankful to my wonderful friend for gifting me with this fabulous singing ball. I didn't know what the hell to do with it when I first got it, but now it has been one of my go-tos for getting grounded, for finding that healing, helping me to connect to that inner peace. Singing ball, baby, is all that, all that. And I wouldn't have known anything about it had it not been for my beautiful friend Bonnie. So shout out and Ashe to her, who's in the ancestor realm, that's joining me shotgun right here, right now. So peace and light, peace and love, everyone. I wanted to talk a little bit about enchanting some beauty cosmetics. I have been doing a lot of work with doing that. We already know with the creams, with the baths, with the oils and all of that other stuff. And one thing that I also like to enchant is my lip shits. Now, the lip shits that I grab a hold along is just, I like any of those things that kind of sparkle on the lips, that bring a little bit of glimmer, shimmer when the sun is hitting them and everything. For me, that just does a little special thing to me. It just makes me feel so whimsical, so dreamy, just puts me into that whole vibe. But if you're like my husband, who really don't want no glitter, no whimsical, no dreamy or nothing like that, then we can stick straight to the vitamin E and the almond oil, and then add that to the lips, and it's going to moisturize and it's going to enhance, so you don't have that dry crack thing going on, or even particularly the dry spot thing. And when I found is adding a tablespoon of not of olive oil, of almond oil, and a tablespoon or a teaspoon of vitamin E oil, and then you'll get a table or teaspoon of brown sugar and a teaspoon of regular sugar. Now you're gonna want it to be like pasty and a little gritty consistent paste, right? And you'll add that on your lips, and you'll do that little frictional movement to move them back and forth so that you can work that whole scrub action. Or you can use your finger or a Q-tip and do it in a circular motion, which is much more effective, and that's going to help to eliminate any of those dry patches that's on your lips and everything. Definite effective tool before you even get your whole lip shits regimen started, to make sure your lips is right and exact and on point with that. And if you have any excess scrub left, any excess lip scrub left, you can store it in the refrigerator for a few days, and it'll be there working for you so that you can use it at that particular point as well. I will not recommend that you keep it longer than a week, because I don't know what it'll do after that particular point. But I do know that I'll just use a little bit at a time. That's why I say a teaspoon, a tablespoon, all depending on how many times you intend on using it. For me, I'll just use a teaspoon. No one's using that but me. But it does work, and it is effective, and it's really, especially if you're one of those individuals that uses those matte, and those are the ones without the shine, that doesn't have that smoothness, is going to really bring out and enhance your lips' natural smoothness on that. Definitely something to rock with. For my lip shits right here that I enchanted, I use this MAC Dazzle Glass. I like the lip glass too, but the Dazzle Glass this time, I got the Pleasure Principle one. You can get them all. They got all types of little dazzly sparkles. And the reason why I like this one, because it has the little sparkles in it that brings just that little thing for me. And what I will do with them is I will enchant them either with intention. I can charge it up with a crystal, my desert rose. You can charge them up with flower essences. And right here I have the Larch, the confidence boosting flower essence. And these flower essence, they work directly with you. They get into your system and they help to enhance your emotional well-being. So how you're processing this world is going to work to serve you a lot better. And with adding those flower essences into that, it brings a special little flair to the enchantment of your cosmetics. The other thing that I did, so with this particular one here, I used my liquid magic solution that I got from this blue. Where did I set that? Here it is. And typically I'll drop these in the water, and I'll put about 4 drops in my water, and it helps with that overall well-being. But I don't know, I came out of meditation and it just came to me to just throw a little bit into my dazzle glass and let it charge up on the altar. And I gotta tell you, for me, it added a little special sparkle in my step when I was out and about and on those scenes. So this is definitely what you, this is definitely what I would use, is because I like this dazzle glass because it's just special to me. And so then when you add your intention, when you add your enchantment to it, it brings a special energy to it. But you can use whatever it is that you like to use and add that enchantment to it, and it's going to liven it up a little better than what it was. Let it charge up on any of those spaces that you got or not. But that focused intention is definitely going to make it a little liver than what it is. We'd be surprised what we get when we intend to do it. And this is definitely one of those things to do. So getting that Lipschitz game on point and really enchanting those cosmetics and those products is going to bring you into a whole different realm of beauty, because now you done stepped into the realm of it being intentional, right? And when it's intentional like that, you got your own. When you put it in there with your intentions and you threw your intentions into your cosmetics, you put your own energy signature into the mix. No one cares about how you show up more than you do. So you definitely want to be the person that's putting that energy on your cosmetics. Glamour magic, baby. Glamour magic. So the things that's going on in this particular world, we know we got all of these planets in retrogrades. We got about 5 planets, and the most famous one we know is Mercury being in retrograde. And this year in particular, the Mercury retrogrades were in air signs. The air signs are Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And so the last retrograde we had, it was in Gemini. And that's all about communication, thinking, and how we learn. And here we go again in Libra, another air sign, which is all about our relationships, all about the balance. I start to go into the communication vibe. But Mercury is over that energy of communication. So it works really well. That energy, it rules over the planet, it rules over Gemini and Virgo. But this particular time, we got it right when it was coming out of Virgo and into Libra at this particular time. So when we have communication, which is Mercury, moving over into the energy of Libra, which is all about relationships, justice, fairness, cooperation, and balance. When that energy goes into retrograde, all of those things goes into review. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean, like they say, it's retrograde. It makes it sound like everything is going backwards because you're going into review. Well, that's what the illusion is, but from what my understanding is, what it is the planet, the speed is actually slowing a little bit, and so it looks like it's kind of moving backwards. Here's what I do know. That when Mercury goes under the retrograde, it is probably a good idea to make sure that you're backing up all of your files, your communications, and you're safeguarding yourself, just so that you don't be in a space where you get caught slipping and Mercury retrograde shows up and you lose something. Make sure you say what you mean what you say, because you don't want to be moving around being misunderstood, because that's likely to happen at this particular time. That's what I do know for sure about that. It's nothing to be afraid of, and it's nothing to be concerned about, because this is a time where you can right a lot of wrongs. This is a time where you can make some adjustments on how you've been navigating. This is a particular time where you can go back and review how you've been communicating and how things have been going down at this particular time. It's the time to really take a look and review at that. Mercury in retrograde is an awesome time, regardless of what they tell you. To sign contracts. Why? Because you want to make sure that all of the I's was dotted and the T's were crossed. You wanted to go back under review. You want to go back to make sure things is the way they're supposed to be. Why wouldn't you? In any contract that you make, you would like to have a time where you can go back and review the validity of the terms that were set. Mercury retrograde helps in doing that. And many successful businesses that are out there and available, they go into the Mercury retrograde. They make their agreements going into the Mercury retrogrades. Those are the things that we really need to know. Mercury retrograde is really an excellent time. Retrogrades, period, across the board is an excellent time. Is Venus in retrograde? Then maybe we need to review our relationships and how we're connecting with other people. We got this Mercury retrograde in Libra, which is under the house of Venus. So that's definitely something to take a look at and examine with all of that and how the relationships is flowing. This is a time for reflection and review so that we can go back, collect it, and get it right. It's a beautiful time of year. And at this particular time of year is when that harvest time, when things start to really, really show up in your life. All of that work that you've been putting in, all of the things that you've been intending. This is a time where it shows up a lot of the time. This is a time where you'll get an opportunity to review all of those things that you were intending to do and how you were going about doing it, and reevaluating whether or not this is your best strategy in proceeding. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time. And this Mercury retrograde, it did not shock me that during this particular period, we already know that R. Kelly was on trial for all of the things that he did. In my opinion, I really feel that this man has really misused his power. And this is an example of what happens when some individuals, certain energies, get themselves some light. And they're really not spiritually equipped to hold that light in righteousness. Let's put it that way. Because we already know just how fragile the mind is of adolescence at that particular time, where star power and popularity and being perceived as a celebrity is important to individuals in that particular time. And so a lot of times, like they were talking about when Aaliyah was working with R. Kelly and she wanted to be a celebrity, and a lot of the other girls that were on the talk show, they couldn't, that were on the, what was that, Surviving R. Kelly, the documentary, not talk show, I'm sorry. And they talked about how they wanted to pursue celebrity, and they seen R. Kelly, and he had such nice things, and he had such nice clothes, and he had so much of a following, and so much light shining upon this man. Why wouldn't they want to be connected to that? But there's a little small piece that hasn't fully developed yet in the mind of the adolescent that doesn't allow you to see the bigger picture, especially when it deals with outcomes further on down the line. And so decisions are made right in the moment for whatever it is that you're desiring at that particular time. And in that particular case, it was celebrity. And so in feeling that you had to compromise yourself, you end up in some spaces you don't want to be in. And with this retrograde, I'm hoping, even though we know that the verdict came in and he was found guilty on that, but let's not forget about that shit that happened. What was that, in the 90s, the early 2000s, when he was accused for urinating on this little girl, and everybody was all outraged, but we dropped it like it was a hot potato because he put out the chocolate factory, and that shit was slamming and jamming. And what was that other one? I forgot, but it had that jam. I wish that was a slamming ass CD. I know, because I used to run that bad boy all day, every day. He has put out some music that has been the business, trust me when I tell you. And he misused his energy. And he is the man. And he is brilliant. And he is beautiful. And he misused his energy. He misused his energy. And this is a phenomenon that we are beginning to see that shows up so many times right about now, and how people misuse their energy because they're beautiful, shining lights out here in this world. Watching Empire, ain't they dressed to kill? Oh man, they sharp. They got on all of the designers. They got the blingage. They driving the nice cars. They living lives of luxury. They have beautiful surroundings and beautiful people surrounding them. And they mistreat people. And they inflict harm on people. And they intentionally find ways to bring mischief into the lives of others. And when you intentionally try and cause harm to someone, you are misusing your energy. Now, we can argue the point, because if your intention was to do something just to foul and hard, please understand that that's an energy that's going to come back and see you. And this right here is what we got with retrograde. Is how that energy that you was putting out is coming back to see you. You slacked ass. You didn't do the work that you were supposed to do. Well, guess what? Retrograde is going to come back and show you what you didn't the fuck do. You didn't communicate that completely and thoroughly. Well, retrograde is going to come back and show you that you didn't do that shit. So we better really start being a little bit more intentional in how we move in this world. Because life ain't just happening to us. We're putting this energy out here. We're orchestrating a lot of the things that are being placed in front of us. And it's time for us to let go of a lot of the old program where if it looks good, then it must be good. And start looking into shit and not just at it. Because looking into stuff is what allowed us into a space where we let a man that we knew was a predator out here in these streets, as beautiful and as brilliant and as wonderfully talented as that man is. We allowed this man to continue running the streets, and he came for your babies. And if we would have let that shit ride again, you can put money on it that he would have continued coming for your babies. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, I promise you. Because even the girls with the highest esteem encounter an energy such as someone like R. Kelly, or in that caliber of celebrity, can pretty much write his own check to how the day plays out. And we need to be mindful of that when we're teaching our children, not necessarily our daughters, but our sons too. Because we got kids that's out here doing the most for celebrity, for status, for shine, worshiping Satan, whatever, wearing a dress, whatever, if you don't want to wear a dress, because there's some folks who want to wear a dress, whatever. But see, when you start stepping into the realm of things that make you uncomfortable and you do it because you think you're taking one for the team, or you're going along just to get along, it dims your light just a little bit. And so we got to be mindful of that. And hopefully we can take this retrograde and kind of reevaluate how we've been communicating, how we've been navigating our relationships, and the balance of power that we have in those connections, and how that plays out. Because what we're seeing right here that happened, while we say that there was justice that was served, was also an unfortunate tragedy, because we could have addressed this years ago. And we could have prevented this right here. Not saying that somebody else wouldn't have jumped on this wagon, but this right here, surviving R. Kelly, Me Too, and all of this type of shit, can be avoided. And it's not necessarily a thing about whether or not an individual has that love for self, that knowledge of self. That definitely helps in more ways than others. However, we got to start holding people accountable, because there's a lot of power in a social jewelry, in the social trial, in the trial by media. A lot of power. Now, we say they ain't with all this cancel culture and all of this stuff we going on. I beg to differ. So that's something that we may want to take a look at during this Mercury retrograde. And I want to encourage everybody during this time to really take care of yourself and to really be a little bit more mindful of the things that we're taking in. Not just in our mouths, but in our minds as well. Because we got a lot of messages that are out there that mess with our well-being, as well as there being a lot of things out there that mess with our well-being. And so right now we're in a time where on the news, what we hear about all the time is the pandemic and how the numbers are rising and how people are getting sick and people are in jail. But one of the things that I don't hear so many people saying or so many people talking about, you got to be in a certain cipher, is to start to embrace wellness and leave all these damn fast food joints the hell alone. Eating out of other people's kitchen. Ain't nobody put no blessing over your food when they making them. Hopefully they might be. Maybe you might get a person or two. But a lot of these cats that's putting your food together, they don't even want to be there. They resentful. And we take this in. And how do we expect to fight off dis-ease if the hands that are creating that which we take in are dis-ease or at dis-ease? So we really got to be mindful of how we do that. And I don't want to spend too much time trying to tell folks about the way to go, because in that, I'm still really working to figure out the best way to go. But here's what I do know for sure. That love is real, y'all. And that's where it's at. And when we walk in the light, and in the direction of love and of light, there is no way that we can fail with that. And that's something that we need to take on for our Mercury retrograde. So back up all of your stuff so that you don't get caught slipping. Save it to a disk. Say what you mean what you say. And really reevaluate how we've been operating, the level of balance that we have in our life, Libras. Libra season in the house. Shout out to the Libras. The amount of balance that we have out here with drinking, eating, the things that we're consuming, watching, talking about, just getting ourselves back into balance. This is a time for us to do it. That's what Mercury retrograde is about, family. That's what Mercury retrograde is about. So let's get into a little bit of magic, because we know that there's so many individuals that have suffered from this pandemic and from other things that are going on in this world, other things that may not be getting the attention, but other ailments are out there besides what we're hearing about on the news, and we want healing for all of those individuals. So let me grab a hold of my singing bowl, because when I shout out some healings, I bring that out for everyone that hears this voice and everyone that is connected to those that hear this voice, and those that are connected to the ones that are connected, and so on, and so on. And so on. Peace and light. Peace and light, family.